Welcome, adventurers! You've made it to the Wind Down, the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. It's a chill place to hang out here as the sun sets on another day. We're here to have a little chat, reflect on the day's successes, and prepare for a better tomorrow. So settle in with your favorite beverage this evening.
May I tempt you with a cup of chamomile?
Why, thank you, Dory. I would love a mug of tea this evening, but perhaps you would rather have some coffee, though I do recommend decaf this late in the evening. Or perhaps maybe a cold brew is more your style.
Oh, no thank you, Dory. A little red wine. For me, Isaac.
Sounds like an excellent choice, Gandalf. Whatever you want, it's yours. Could I offer you a bourbon, a martini, an old-fashioned, or something perhaps a little stronger? Ugh. Well, I mean, if that's really your thing, then okay, but I hope we can find something a bit better than that.
Romulan ale? Why, Bones, you know this is illegal.
I only use it for medicinal purposes.
All right, now we're talking. I'm Heath, and I'll be your host. Welcome to my home. Come one, come all, writers, artists, sculptors, storytellers, board gamers, streamers, dungeon masters, fans of sci-fi, fantasy, geeks of all kinds. Whatever your fandom, you have a place here. For soon it will be time for another long rest so that we can recover our hit points, our spells, and our abilities, so we'll be ready to fight on for another day tomorrow. But first, we all need a little time to reflect, because you've survived another long, perilous day of wilderness treks, dungeoneering, and random encounters, and that's worth celebrating. Let's tell the tale. It's time for the Wind Down. It will improve your life. It really will. Give it a chance. Here we go. Hey, good evening, everyone. So glad to have you here. Yes, I'm not quite as zoomed in tonight, I think. I was trying to upload my camera, and for some reason, my camera controls no longer work. And actually, I got this message that, like, Apple has disabled some type of support for something, so whatever. So here I am. I will look into that later. But anyway, yeah, I'm here. It's fine. I'm not as zoomed in, but it doesn't matter. Hope everyone is doing very well. I feel like it has been a long time since I've streamed, and I'm sorry about that. I have been doing a lot of stuff. I have been out of town. I have been driving around all over the place. Was that yesterday? Was that only yesterday? I think it was only yesterday. I have been up at Huntsville, Rocket City here in Alabama. Went up there to interview for some jobs and things like that, and then also went and visited the University of Alabama at Huntsville, and went by their Department of Environmental and Atmospheric Sciences, which is where they have a Geographic Information Science laboratory, and also the department which hosts their undergraduate and graduate level certificate program in geographic information systems. And so I went by there to meet with their department head and a bunch of other things. So I have been on the road and doing a whole lot of stuff. So now I'm here talking about gaming tonight. So hope everybody is doing well. But man, there's been a lot of stuff going on with me. So hopefully everybody's doing well. Better with Bacon. Hey, welcome, Great Old Ones channel. Welcome, Great Old Ones. Stray is here. Wonderful. It is great to see everybody. Thank you for being here with me tonight on this Wednesday. Oh, Doc Flamingo just came in. Welcome. Okay, so although I have been like applying to jobs madly in Huntsville at like the Space and Rocket Center and at the University of Alabama at Huntsville and different places like that, I have had opportunities to work on this, to work on the old school system. And that has to do with basically the 0th level professions. And I have a breakthrough on that I'm going to share. So we're talking about that. Wait a minute. So Stray says, I have been reading the whole Gunderholfen game. It's mixed in my brain with Ardvin Vol. I'm screwed. I don't know anything about that. I don't understand that. I will say, by the way, since we used to talk, oh, hey, PH. Oh, it's Sable. It's PH. Okay, so hey, by the way, I've got messages for both Sable and PH. I am very close to fulfilling all of the Kickstarter boxes. PH, I still have to ship your box out. And say there are only 2 boxes in a whole Lord of the Rings spiral tonight. So I still have to ship PH's box. PH, your box is sitting right here. I have to ship Sable's box. Sable and Robert. So those are 3. 3 people on the stream were the 3 things that I am still waiting on. I had shirts printed specifically for Stray and Robert. I don't think Robert's on the stream. And I didn't like what they sent me. I didn't post that to the Kickstarter, like the Kickstarter update, but I got them here and I was going to ship them out, but I was looking at them and I think their color registration was off. And so I emailed the printer. Was that yesterday or was that 2 days ago? I can't remember. After I've been driving all over the place. And the printer said that yes, it does seem like a problem, and they're reprinting the shirts. So Robert and Sable shirts are being reprinted, and then they're sending them to me. I mean, I hope I should have that next week. PH's box has to go out internationally, and then there's also one box which I noticed, which is supposed to go to Canada, which I know I uploaded, but I hadn't registered yet as shipped. But I'm thinking that maybe that's just because maybe I missed the shipping or something like that. So I'm going to go and I'm going to check back with the printer on that. So there we go. So that's where we are. Well, I didn't want to send out that. All of the shirts that I got. I reordered Robert and Sable's shirts. There was something, and I'm not sure how this happened. I have a lot more shirts than I needed for Kickstarter fulfillment sitting in the other room over here. So once the Kickstarter is over, I'll put them up on the Ravenkeep website and whatever. So I ended up with more shirts than I needed. And I'm not sure how that happened because I was using the Kickstarter pledge manager system. So I am not sure how that happened. But even though I had in general more shirts than I needed, I didn't have one for you and one for Robert. So I reordered them. All the shirts were printed perfectly, except for those 2 reorders. So I'm not sure why the registration was off, and the printer agreed that, hey, the registration was off with like the color matching. And so they're sending them to me free. So they've reordered them. So there we go. Okay. So there we go. I'll let everybody know when I've got shirts that can go out directly from Ravenkeep. So I'm really excited. I am ready to be done with all that shipping, but that's where I am. Like there's three or 4 boxes left. So we will see. Yeah, right. Exactly. They're misprints. Okay. All right. So anyway, so here we go. Okay. So we've been talking about 0th level characters for a while. And we have, as you've been going through this, we've been talking about the rules for that. And so the problem, though, has taken this project a lot more time than I had thought, was dealing with professions. Oh, thank you. Our Strange Meanderings. Yes, I did get Strange Meanderings out. Strange Meandering says, dude, our cultist gear is fantabulous. Thank you. I'm so glad you were enjoying it. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people have theirs. It's just a couple of boxes here at the end about getting a shirt or something like that. So we are close. And I have really enjoyed seeing everybody, get their stuff on Discord or wherever else, and also on Facebook, and enjoying it. I'm very proud of everything that shipped. So close to shipping, close to being completely done. Okay. So the idea is that you roll when you're rolling up a 0th level character for your professions. And so that was something that was in Carcass Crawler. I forget the particular number of that, but I was like, okay. So the way, and I'm thinking about this now, as far as Carcass, as far as the OSE's game design goes, this is basically how issue number 5. 0th level characters. So in this case, your profession, or actually this is called, background tables profession. let me show this to you. Let me remove that, and I'm going to put up I put up what they were doing, and so you can see what my modification is. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Carcass Crawler 5, okay, so when you're creating your 0th level character, you come over here and then you roll a d12 based on the number of hit points you have. So this is basically their way of being sure that you don't end up with a 1 hit point level fighter or fighter equivalent. I mean, this is 0th level, so this is like fighter equivalent. So this is basically how they stop that. They decided that, rather than determining your class, I see this as the game design idea now, rather than determining your class and then rolling your hit points and potentially being a low hit point fighter equivalent, they decided that your hit points will be determined first, and then you will roll on this background table to determine your profession based on your hit points. So I think that's pretty good. I mean, I think that's a pretty good game design kind of thing to do. So for instance, you see here that, okay, if you only end up with 1 hit point, then you are something like acolyte, actor, alchemist's apprentice, artist, beggar, jeweler, juggler, moneylender, scribe, trumpet player, wealthy heir, wizard's apprentice. Okay, so hit points determine first. Hit points determine what your background is. Okay, so that's like first 1 hit point level backgrounds. So I mean if you roll hit points first and you roll low, then it will be determined that, okay, you must be something that is not very or something that is rather squishy. So then like 3 hit point backgrounds, 4 hit point backgrounds, 4 hit point backgrounds. So how many hit points? I think I actually allow people to have more hit points than this at level 0. But what you do, you roll hit points, roll the die type for the chosen class. Let's see, roll hit points. Roll D4 for your character's hit points, modified by con as usual. Okay, always starting with at least 1 hit point. Okay, and you cannot, you must keep whatever hit points you roll. So you're just rolling D4 for hit points. So, D4 point backgrounds are armorer, blacksmith, carpenter, farmer, mason, shipwright, squire, even weaponsmith, and that tells you what you get. Okay, so that's the general idea. And I think that's a pretty good idea, actually. And so I adopted it as we're coming over here to Hacked Edge. Roll your hit points first, and then your hit points will determine your, what you are. But I ended up spiraling for some time into just a ridiculous number of options. And that just was not working. Just was not working. So, okay, let me stop sharing this. But that was the principle. That's the background principle from which I was working from. Now let me go back to sharing my table here. Okay. And I was fighting with this table. I was fighting with this table. I was fighting with this table. And I was like, okay, so wait a minute. I ended up with a lot more possible number of hit points. 1 being the minimum. We already said that you're rolling 2d3, so you can have up to 6, which I think is important because we established that the normal man has 6 hit points. So I don't see, I don't think that we need to have 0th level characters. Hey, Brett, good evening. Good evening. Great to see you. So if combat in the game is kind of based on the idea that a normal man might have 6 hit points, I don't think that we should artificially restrict the 0th level characters to only being D4 plus con, because then how do you get to 6 points as a 0th level character? Only by having an astronomically good constitution score. And so that kind of violates the idea that a normal man might have 6. So if you roll 2d6, no. What we're rolling here is 3d2. You're rolling 3d2. We're calling them wound points. And I actually think I'm going to change this over to damage points, but whatever. I mean, they're hit points equivalent at this point. You're rolling 2d3. That means that if you only end up with 1, you must have negative constitution. But it's also possible to end up with more than 6 if you have a positive modifier to constitution. That's kind of giving our range for normal man. Okay. But it's possible, and I want to run some statistics on this, on to make sure that, like, how likely are all the different classes. So that's an adjustment right there. Let's see what Stray says. Stray says, I saw a nifty article where the absolute value of a negative starting HP is your HP, but you play as undead until fixed or killed and rezzed. It was neat. Huh. That is interesting. I'd like to read that article. That'd be a fun thing to add in here. So if you actually end up with negative HP, you end up as that actually sounds like something that should go into like a magazine or something, like an e-zine for that. That is pretty cool. I'd like to read that. Sable says, here's a focus of rulings versus rules. Are you playing a game system or are you playing a reality with an overlap of dice mechanics? So are you playing a game system or are you playing reality with an overlap? So, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to do here is game system. The purpose here is to create a game. It's not to try to simulate reality. I don't know if that goes to what I'm talking about or not, but I guess that's the goal. So, more gamist. I think more gamist. But I was running into two problems as I was trying to create all of these freaking like professions and stuff for 0th level characters. One was that how do we handle the relationship? Well, actually, number one. Let me start with a different number one. Number one was just that there are a freaking lot of them. Like if I'm supposed to go now, what I did do was go 1 hit, 1 damage point, wound point, whatever, 1 HP, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 plus. Let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus. But still, if you're rolling a D12 for each one of those, that is a freaking huge number of potential professions. I mean, like the amount of time I was spending trying to deal with that just was not working. And I don't really think you need all of that much variety. Like, what would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 7 times 12. Do you really need 84 different potential 0th level character professions? I think not. Like, I mean, and especially if you're trying to come up with them, all of them being distinct or whatever. So the first problem that I was running into was that there are just too freaking many professions. I mean, so the Carcass Crawler number 5 just had 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 times 12. I was having like 7 times 12. It was just ridiculous. So the first thing that I did was I started to condense these into different tiers. So you can see that instead of saying, let's have 1 hit point 0th level professions, and then let's have 2 hit point 0th level professions, I said, okay, let's just have tier 1, and tier 1 will be 1 and 2, in this case, wound points, like I said, which is more what I'm calling them in this game system. But I mean, hit points equivalent at this point. It's perfectly fine the way to think of it. Yes, it is. Exactly. Stray says that. I mean, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of hats to deal with. So I decided, first of all, let me condense. Why don't we just have people with 1 and 2 hit points, wound points, whatever, roll on the same table? That helped dramatically to reduce the number to condense the tiers. And then the second problem that I was having, let's see. Okay, so let's see. Sable says, well, before I go on to the second problem, for sure, that's more of the whole narrative versus gamist versus simulationist model. Do you want to lean into the idea of telling a specific story? Do you want to employ the application of knowledge? And I would say again that especially playing with BGD, playing with Chris, I mean, I also was thinking about this in terms of like, how much does this matter? I mean, the rules do need to make sense within their system. They need to be, logically coherent and all that. But, when you're sitting and playing with somebody like BGD, who can craft a great story, as long as the rules aren't doing something that are wildly inconsistent or, completely nonsensical, you can play a great game. Although I am also at this moment trying to also do this in the context of dungeon crawling. So, this is a game in the context of dungeon crawling. I'm trying to be an old school kind of feel kind of thing. So this is old school in the context of dungeon crawling. After trying to cut down the sheer freaking number of professions that we're dealing with this, the second thing was, what is the relationship between the well, hold on, we got more stuff coming in. So Stray says Knave has 100 jobs for adventuring, but the only things the two jobs you roll a D100 is for starting equipment, nothing else. Starting equipment is also a thing. Okay, so I was also really trying not to multiply starting equipment insanely. So like we've got items here, you'll see here like item number 1 and item number 2. Especially if you're thinking about coding this into a database, I did not want to have 100 weird starting items. I wanted to say, I tried to have 12. So this number 12 keeps coming up. 12 specific adventuring items that are non-weapon, non-armor, that would actually have an impact on the dungeon and dungeon crawling. And let's just use those 12 items. I adjusted that slightly. I can talk about that. But one of the things that I had to do was I was like, let me go just create a list of dungeon items. Turn off my heater. Was that I went and created a list of dungeon items because the list of potential items was just getting way out of hand. And like, what do you do with that thing anyway? So I came back to try to come up with, okay, let's constrict this to 12 potential dungeon items. Do you want to employ the application and knowledge of mechanics as the metric of proficiency? Let me see what Sable is trying to say. For sure, that's more of the whole narrative versus gamist versus simulationist model. Do you want to lean into the idea of telling a specific story? Do you want to employ the application and knowledge of mechanics as a metric of proficiency? Or do you want to try to emulate the world that is the environment of the campaign setting? And I recognize that's not an exclusive aspiration. If you're talking about the player's knowledge of the mechanics, well, I suppose in this situation, I'm okay with that. I would rather, I saw something the other day that was like, is the answer in your, it may have been earlier today. I've been like driving all over the place, like I said, and been all over the place. I can't remember what day I've been looking at stuff. But I think I saw something on Reddit about like, how do I get the players to understand that the answer is in their head and not on their character sheet, which I think, again, BGD does a fantastic job of. When we've been playing with him, I've never thought that, the answer to this is on my character sheet. It's always been in our heads as we've been playing. But on the other hand, in like an old school kind of environment, if you know the rules kind of work one way, I mean, yes, there is still metagaming, but which might be disallowed. But like you're in a more gamist environment, I would say. Anyway, okay, so let me go ahead and go through what I was trying to say. My second problem was, what's the relationship between the 0th level classes and, 0th level professions and 1st level classes? Because often, traditionally, the answer is that there is none, right? That you will determine that when you roll up this 0th level character, they could end up being any 1st level class. That like they're going to be determining their class as the adventure is going forward or something like that. And that's certainly one way to do it. But I ran into, from like a database and structural perspective, problems with like okay, what if you roll a character that has a spell, but then you end up wanting to be a fighter? On one level, that's potentially fine. Like the only way that you, like potentially, perhaps, the only way that you could be a fighter who could cast cantrips would be that if you started off as a 0th level character with a background of alchemist's assistant, for instance, and you ended up with an allowed number of cantrips per day, and you knew one of them, and then for other reasons you decided, that you can come up with whatever in your backstory or whatever, you decided to abandon your alchemist's assistant kind of thing, and become a fighter, but now you still have spells. The same kind of thing was happening with skills, which might be specific to something like a thief or other specific character class. That's potentially cool, but it was causing a lot of problems from, like, as I'm trying to approach this also from like a database perspective, because I'm trying to upload all of this to make it accessible via an API on Supabase. So I've been trying to think about this game design, which is also very interesting, from a database perspective, because I've been uploading all this information to a database. Now, actually, these have not been uploaded to a database yet. These professions have not been uploaded yet, but they will be. So I was trying to think of this as also in terms of database management and what makes sense from the database. So it started to not make a lot of sense for a fighter to have been the alchemist's apprentice. That just wasn't working. So what I decided to do, which is a little bit different from a lot of 0th level play, but I have been giving what's called a pre-class. So instead of saying, well, after 0th level, you can become whatever class you want to, that this 0th level profession will become this particular character class. So for instance, now what I'm saying is that Alchemist's Assistant will become a magic user. Boom. That prevents all of the database weird kind of issues, like I said, about a character that ordinarily wouldn't have a particular kind of skill suddenly having one, or not being able to cast spells typically, but now they can, whatever. Because now, okay, Alchemist's Assistant, if Alchemist's Assistant lives through the 0th level, either Gauntlet, and now I'm calling Gauntlet a one character 0th level experience. I'm going to call that a Gauntlet. I posted to the Shadow Dark Reddit subreddit about why you don't actually use a funnel in Shadow Dark and instead use by funnel I mean multiple 0th level characters, and nobody could give me a good answer, because in Shadow Dark, according to the rules as written, you're supposed to play 0th level characters sequentially. No one can give me a good reason why it's like that, other than perhaps it's supposed to be because maybe Kelsey thought that was too difficult for a new player to do, to run multiple characters. That's basically the only answer you had. And lots of people say, no, I disregard that rule in Shadow Dark. And I have everybody play their 0th level characters together. Where was I going with that? I don't remember. But my terminology now is, okay, Gauntlet will be a single 0th level character trying to get through 5 rooms of a dungeon. If they do that, then they can become a 1st level character, and their 1st level and their character class is determined. So the Alchemist's Assistant, if you have one, will become a magic user. PH says, that's what I was thinking about. Should you have some sort of customization of the class that comes with the profession? Maybe something scalable like racial feats from Pathfinder. Oh, I'll have to refresh myself on racial feats from Pathfinder. If you were completely doing this theater of the mind and completely open-ended, then I think this should be written into the game, that if you want to be completely open-ended, then you should allow a 0th level character, based on their experience during their 0th level game, to potentially choose whatever kind of class they want, and that you just accept whatever background they might have had at 0th level. If you're at the gaming table and that's your bag, I think you absolutely write that into the rules and go with it. From a structural database perspective, That's too messy. What rule do you disregard? I had to get up for a moment. Dinner finally arrived. What I was talking about was regards to Shadow Dark, because within rules as written in Shadow Dark, players do not run multiple 0th level characters at the same time, which is traditional. In something like Dungeon Crawl Classics, we have a funnel where everybody's playing like 5 0th level characters. It seems like most people in the Shadow Dark subreddit disregard Kelsey's rule about running 0th level characters one at a time and instead run them all at once. DCC has scratch off tickets for 0th level characters on their website. I know. If I'm able to, that's one of the reasons why I want to upload this data into Supabase, because then it's accessible by API and I can put this kind of stuff on a website as well, so that you can generate characters, using this, which is not a skill set that I had up until about 2 months ago. And I've learned, I spent a lot of time learning about, learning that kind of stuff that actually makes this possible, which has never been possible for me before. And I'm very excited about it. I always thought that Kelsey was thinking about the approach to someone who's not an RPG veteran. Yeah, that's what people said. An RPG funnel could be shocking to someone who has only watched Critical Role, for example. Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, that's if anybody had an answer, that was what they gave me. Basically, you have a racial feat that comes, and also, it's kind of difficult in here to add in the races. I want to have elf and dwarf and halfling. Well, that was another thing, because we have the rules for if you roll a 0th level halfling, for instance. What level 1 character is that 0th level halfling going to become? It's going to become a 1st level halfling. It has to. You're not going to have a situation where a 0th level halfling becomes a cleric. Not according to our old school kind of role system OSE. So that was another reason that in order to kind of fit in the demi-human races as class, you have to kind of silo everybody. PH says, as an optional feat possibility, so you could lean more towards that or not, but it lets the player to give more importance to their professions if they choose to. And I also don't want it to, this is also possibly, I'm spending way too much time on this anyway, because how much of the character's life is going to be at 0th level? Not very much. Either they die and that's why, or then they go on to become an adventurer. Oh, Doc Flamingo goes, I've always hated running multiple characters at once. PH says, okay, thank you. Stray, I don't know exactly what that was, but I will take it, Stray. But for the profession, maybe at certain levels you could improve that profession feature. Maybe so. But on the other hand, I'm arguably spending way too much time on this. Okay, so here's what I was trying to do. I ended up with a whole bunch of different, basically, fields in a database that a 0th level character would have. So this is our tier 1 characters, 1 and 2 wounds. And what I was trying to do was, with only 1 and 2 wounds, which is the equivalent right now, you can just think about that as HP. I wanted them to have the best stuff, because you could completely lean into the, oh my God, we have to escort a 1st level wizard around a dungeon anyway. And, hopefully he gets to level 5 or 6 someday and can actually do whatever. It would only be worse for a level 0 character. So I was trying to make sure that level 0 characters, 1 and 2 wound 0th level characters could contribute to something and have something to contribute, a reason to have around. So for instance, Alchemist Assistant, profession, Alchemist Assistant, pre-class, this will go to Magic User. Weapon, Dagger. It also seems like in old school games that are talking about 0th level, like DCC, we got to come up with some kind of weird what's the word? Improvised. Weird kind of improvised weapon, some kind of weird item that could potentially be an improvised weapon for them. And that's how this started out. But we are doing damage by class, as we have talked about this, which means that your profession should give you something about your damage. And so we also had for player characters, classifying your damage by class, by light, medium, or heavy weapon. Well, I decided that using light, medium, or heavy weapons for 0th level character was too much. And so instead, they will have a universal damage characteristic. And so in this case, this is D2, which is not a lot. It's a lot when you consider the normal man only has 6 hit points. I mean, it's not a lot. You're going to have to be attacking them, more than once. But I mean, D2, when you're comparing that to a normal 6, is still not insubstantial. But the rule that we had already written was that if you were using an improvised weapon, you get -1 or something. And I just thought that it was too much, that like by the time we're down here with Alchemist's Assistant and your universal damage is D2 if you're using a weapon, but instead of dagger, you have shard of stone, or something, which is an improvised weapon. Do you need any further penalty? And I decided no. That also caused me to have to go through and create a basic weapon table. So I said, let's just give everybody an actual weapon. I mean, if you are a 0th level character who is actually going into the dungeon, then you've managed to scrounge together something that can actually be regarded as a weapon, and you don't have to be forced to have improvised rules. Oh, Stray says, nah, just that the work and research you're doing for all this sounds really neat. Well, thank you. This is another example of, look, Heath experiences scope creep in everything that he's doing and ends up overthinking everything, which is why stuff doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. But I'm working on it. Yet, Sable says, yet if your audience is interested, invest that time. There's something that resonates, and if you can extrapolate that to a more generalized gameplay mechanic in our system. I think we're going to finish that in a moment. Let's get P. Can you have an Alchemist Assistant become a fighter? At the moment, I'm saying strictly at the moment, no. But at your table, I need to have rules in there to say that that'd be no problem. You end up happening to be a fighter who has some magic experience at the cantrip level. And I think that's perfectly fine at a gaming table. If you're trying to code that into a database, it stopped being as clean as I wanted it to be. But I want to say in the actual book rules for the tabletop, that pre-class is a suggestion. Hey, RPG Gen Exile. Great to see you. Welcome. So weapon dagger. So it's actually a weapon. Okay, armor, none. Shield, none. Let's see. Helmet, none. So these are like the different fields that we need to know. Weapon, armor, shield, helmet. This needs to be item 2 as I'm reading through here, because this will end up being written into SQL in order to upload into a database, which is why I'm writing it out like this. So item slot number 1 becomes a vial of acid, and vial of acid has to have an entry on our equipment table. Okay. Item 2 will be null, so they will not have a secondary item because they have cantrips. So at the moment, and I have been going back and forth between 2 and 3 cantrips a day. I'm not sure if it should be 2 or 3. At the moment, I have the lower level 2. Cantrips per day 2 if you're a magic user. And I'm also thinking about this from the gamer's perspective, that if you were doing a gauntlet, which is if you were just one single character, a 0th level character, trying to make it through 5 rooms of a dungeon, that would mean that 2 of those 5, this magic user would be able to cast a spell. I mean, they could cast 2 spells in a single room, of course. but that if they want to handle whatever is in that room magically through a cantrip, they can only do that for 2 out of 5 rooms. I mean, they gotta come up with some other way to come to deal with that. But they get an item, they get an actual weapon, they get 2 cantrips, maybe 3, we will see. And then I had to come up with a list of cantrips. So you can see this, game design is circular when you're trying to okay, well, here's this character, and all of a sudden I get to cantrips. Well, I need some kind of list of cantrips. So I came up with a list of possible cantrips. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, so I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 13 cantrips. Exactly. So, right. So PH says exactly. So that makes it easy. If your pre-class has a feature, just make those features stronger with the main class. Right. Exactly. So you get bolstered when you get to level 1. That was what I was going for. Maybe he gets a bonus when casting those spells or similar ones. And he gets more cantrips, and he gets a first level spell, and he gets all of his adventuring skills and all of that. Yeah, you get a huge boost when you get to level 1. So I ended up saying, okay, similar to how I was like, let's not write 100 different potential weird starting items and 100 potential weird improvised weapons or whatever that you can have. Let's have an actual defined list of, let's say, 12 that each has statistics and some kind of significance to the game. I said, let's do that same thing with cantrips. And so I ended up with a list of 13 cantrips. And you can see here, I ended up with one of those as the universal, that if you are in a profession that is pre-magic user, your third spell is read magic, which is often a house rule kind of thing, that let's not make read magic a first level spell, because who in the world wants to memorize read magic as their only first level spell? Isn't that something you should be doing as being able to do as a apprentice? Like, isn't that one of the first things you'd be able to do as an apprentice magic user? I think so. So I did use the suggested rule, which is often applied in OSE, that let's make read magic a cantrip, and let's make it a universal cantrip for all professions that are pre-magic user. So you're going to see here, that's why I ended up with 3 spells, because I only had 2 spells. So you end up with knowing 3 spells. You can only cast 2 of them, but read magic is always going to be one of them if you are a pre-magic user. My 13 cantrips, which I have not actually written out in detail, but I have their names because I needed to be able to access, to be able to put them into the system here. My 13 cantrips are the universal cantrip, read magic. Then we end up with attack spells. And I went with 5 potential attack cantrips: Acid Splash, Chill Touch, Firebolt, Ray of Frost, and Poison Spray. Now that's 5. Then I went with, that means 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 7 utility cantrips: Blade Ward, Control Flames, Dancing Lights, Mage Hand, Minor Illusion, Prestidigitation, and Mending. Okay, so I went with those 13 cantrips so I can actually put them in a database. So in this case, and I also tried to be sure that spell number 1 for all pre-magic users was going to be some type of attack spell. Because, these guys already have life kind of hard. They have no armor, no shield, no helmet, and only 1 or 2 HP. So they do get an attack spell. Then they get a utility spell, and then everybody gets read magic. And then they also get a skill. Actually, probably I need to add a skill. Does anybody have a second skill? Yep. Okay. So this is making sure my database, because ultimately this will be taken and will become SQL to enter into a database. So I was trying to make sure that all of my database logic is clean here. So for example, we're going to enter a null field for skill 2 for Alchemist's Assistant. But okay, so I said, okay, skill number 1 for the Alchemist Assistant will be skill search. I restricted my skills too, so you don't end up with a bunch of skills. We have a certain number of adventuring skills, and then that's it. So everybody has to pick from this list of adventuring skills. They get skill search, which, by the way, is only a 1 in D6. We're using an out of D6 system for this, so 1 in 6. When it says skill search, there might be situations, and I think there should be, when if you have a relevant skill, then you are successful. But if you need to roll, I mean, you're a 0th level character, you're rolling 1 out of 6. And actually, a lot of characters only roll 1 out of 6 for a skill. But you're proficient in skill search. Okay, no second skill. We said your universal physical damage. That's not going to be necessarily the case with the spells. The spells, I think, can and should do more damage, but that'll be spell specific, which I have not written all the spells yet. And then I also threw in starting copper, so you get some extra money as well, because we're going to end up with, I believe, 4 tiers. We're going to start this low-level tier with the most money. So that's the Alchemist Assistant. I believe I've got 6 pre-magic users. If you only have 1 or 2 hit points, then you're going to roll a d12 to see what you are. That was Alchemist Assistant. The next up is Cult Initiate. Profession, Cult Initiate. Pre-class magic user. Also has a dagger. No armor, no shield, no helmet. This time has 50 feet of hempen rope. Oh, no item 2. 2 cantrips per day. This time they have Chill Touch as an attack spell. Blade Ward. Read Magic is their automatic. And they have proficiency in Skill Hide. Not much proficiency, but Skill Hide. Once again, universal damage of D2. Universal physical damage, that is. And they get 4d4 copper. Next up is Fortune Teller. Okay, profession, Fortune Teller. Pre-class magic user again. Weapon will give this Fortune Teller a staff. No armor, no shield, no helmet. Small steel mirror for item number 1. Okay, item number 2, null. Cantrips per day, again, 2. I said that the Fortune Teller was going to be the one that got 2 utility spells. So the only one that doesn't have an out-and-out attack spell. So we'll go Minor Illusion and Prestidigitation. Spell 3, Read Magic. And then we'll give that the Fortune Teller skill Hear Noise to D2 universal physical damage, and then starting copper 44. Next up, Wizard's Apprentice. Profession, Wizard's Apprentice. Pre-class magic user. Weapon, staff. Armor, none. Shield, none. Helmet, none. Item 1, flask of oil. No. Item number 2. 2 cantrips per day. I don't have an extra space. Yeah, I do have an extra space after 2 for some reason. There we go. Wizard's Apprentice has Mage Hand. Actually, I think I was always putting... I don't think it's actually going to matter. But I was putting the attack spell on 1, I think. Utility spell in slot 2. So that the Wizard's Apprentice has Ray of Frost. And then Mage Hand and Read Magic has proficiency in Search. D2 physical damage, starting copper 44. Let's see. Sable's talking about YouTube security. I know, like, heaven forbid you actually lose access to something. I completely understand. Okay, then Hedge Mage. Profession Hedge Mage. Pre-class magic user. Weapon, staff. Armor, none. Shield, none. Helmet, none. Item 1, Minor Healing Poultice. So that's going on our equipment list. Item 2, null. Cantrips per day, 2. So the Hedge Mage gets Firebolt, Dancing Lights, Read Magic, and has skill in Bushcraft. Universal damage D2, starting copper 4d4. Then going on to Herbalist, which is also pre-class magic user, will have weapon sickle, armor none, shield none, helmet none. Item 1, minor healing poultice as well. Item 2, null. And then this one will have, okay, let's put the combat spell first. I don't think it will matter as far as our database goes, but it'll keep things consistent. They will have poison spray for 1, mending for 2, read magic for 3, as always, skill in search, universal damage D2, starting copper 44. That's 6. Herbalist, I believe it should be. Well, I'll check. Herbalist, because you're rolling D12. If you have 1 or 2 hit points, roll D12. If you roll 1 to 6, you are going to be a pre-magic user of some kind. Alchemist Assistant, Cult Initiate, Fortune Teller, Wizard's Apprentice, Hedge Mage, Herbalist. Yeah, that's 6. There we go. That's okay. Go back by 15 minutes and put it on double speed. See what you think. Okay, so that's 6. If you have 1 or 2 HP, there's a 50% chance you're going to be a pre-magic user of some variety. Then there's another. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 on the D12 should end up being pre-thief. So this is pre-thief. So I have grave robber. So all 1 and 2 HP, 0th level PCs will either be pre-magic user or pre-thief. Okay, so the first one is grave robber, profession grave robber, pre-class thief, weapon staff. That sounds weird. I'm just gonna make note of that. That sounds weird. Why would the grave robber have a staff as a weapon? That probably should be dagger. You can see this is taking freaking ridiculous. So yeah, probably like a dagger to the grave robber. No armor, no shield, no helmet. Crowbar is their item. No item 2. No cantrips. The pre-thieves will have no cantrips, and therefore spell slot 1, 2, and 3 will be null. But they get 2 skills, which is why we have 2 skills here. It's not the complete complement of adventuring skills, but the pre-thieves can also have the thief skills. So skill climb and skill search, which these are not restricted by some type of number like cantrips per day. So one of the game balance issues here is that, okay, the spells may be more powerful, but they are limited by the number you can cast per day. Once you get to the skills, I mean, you can use those over and over again. They don't run out. Universal damage, once again, D2, starting copper 44. Next up, Locksmith's Apprentice, which is profession Locksmith's Apprentice, pre-class thief, weapon long knife, armor none, shield none, helmet none. Iron spikes and mallet is item number 1. No secondary item. Who has a secondary item? I have to look at that. Cantrips per day, none. Skills in picklock and hear noise, D2, universal damage, starting copper 44. Burglar, which is always such a fun word. Burgle, 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 burgle. What do you do as a burglar? You burgle things. Okay, so burglar. Profession burglar, which is pre-class thief. Weapon club, armor none, shield none, helmet none. Grappling hook with short rope. I'm really have to look at who has the second item. I know why the second item sometimes happens. The second item sometimes happens because if you have like a missile weapon, you need another slot to put your ammunition in. That's why that happens. So most people don't have item 2 unless they have item 1, or unless their weapon is a missile weapon, in which case item 2 is their pouch of ammunition. That's what it is. Cantrips per day, 0, so spells are null. Skill 1, hide. Skill 2, climb. Universal damage D2, starting copper 44. Cut purse. Profession cut purse, pre-class thief. Weapon dagger. Armor none, shield none, helmet none. Bag of caltrops is their item. Null item 2. Caltrops per day 0, so we null out the spells. Skill sleight of hand at skill number 1, and then hide at skill 2 for our cut purse. Universal damage D2, starting copper 44. Rat catcher. Next up. Rat catcher, pre-class thief, weapon sling, armor none, shield none, helmet none. They take the 10-foot pole. Here's item 2. Item 2 is pouch of sling stones. Does that need to be 2 words? Sling stones? And then in the database, there is a value for the ammunition. I forget what it is. It's going to be 12 or 20 or something like that. But the equipment table has something to decrement for your ammunition. If a computer is doing that, then might as well track individual ammunition. No cantrips. No, definitely caltrops. No cantrips. Null out the spells. Hide and search for the rat catcher. Seems to make sense. Poacher. I'm going to change that to poacher. So we said poacher here has got blowgun. This is a pre-class thief, but I'm actually going to go short bow. I was thinking about this, and if you happen to roll it, I mean, I think it's kind of lame to be a poacher. I mean, I know you're 0th level, but I think it's kind of lame to be a poacher and just have a blowgun. So I'm going to go ahead and let you have short bow. If you roll it, you roll it. Okay. I mean, you only have 1 or 2 hit points. So that's kind of a powerful range weapon. You get no armor, no shield, no helmet. You do get a torch for item 1, and this is a quiver of arrows. So item 2 needs to be quiver of arrows, and then that will have a value in the database as to how many arrows are in it. And then if it runs out, you buy a new quiver of arrows. Caltrops per day 0, nulling out the spells. Then you get skill in hide and bushcraft as a poacher. D2 universal damage, and then starting copper 4d4. So that should give you 12 professions at the 1 and 2 hit point level. Pre-thief, let me count these. Grave robber 1, locksmith's apprentice 2, burglar 3, cut purse 4, rat catcher 5, poacher 6. There you go. Yes, that's it. Okay. I think that works pretty well. I mean, let me know what you think. But I mean, after going through all of that, I think that works reasonably well. Then you go up to the next tier of characters, which are pre-magic user. Not which are pre-magic user. There are pre-magic users, but the next tier are everybody who has 3 and 4 wounds, which are hit points. 3 and 4 hit points. So at this point, things change a little bit because we're going to have pre-magic users, because you can still be a pre-magic user and have up to 4 wounds. Okay. But we are also going to add, you can still be also a pre-thief at that level. But we are now adding in pre-cleric. Pre-cleric gets added in there, and also pre-fighter. So even though we said a normal man might have 6 of these wounds, I mean, 3 to 4 wounds. I mean, a lot of people are going to have 3 to 4 wounds. We'll do all of the math. I did do some of the math on this and the statistics on this, but I mean, a lot of characters are going to have 3 and 4 wounds. That's not unusual. You rolled low, or you have some type of constitution penalty. So most likely, I would say that the characters with 3 and 4 wounds are going to be at the low end. It's going to be rather rare to have a 1 or 2 wound character. Less rare to have a 3 and 4 characters. That will be present in adventuring parties. So I divided that into pre-magic user, thief, cleric, and fighter. There are 12 of these: thief, magic user, thief, cleric, and fighter. So there need to be 3 professions for each one. So the pre-magic users can be, this is the 1 out of 12, cartographer's assistant. Okay, so cartographer's assistant. I realized I need to name each one of these things by like assistant or something because you're 0th level. Okay, so cartographer's assistant, profession, cartographer's assistant, pre-class going into magic user, weapon, dagger, no armor, no shield, no helmet, small steel mirror, cantrips per day 2. This person gets mage hand. Okay, let's reverse this just for the sake of consistency. Firebolt is the offensive spell. Utility spell is mage hand. And then read magic is the free at level 3. And that person gets bushcraft. That is kind of an odd one for the pre-magic user. That's the pre-magic user that has skill in bushcraft. Universal damage remains D2. Starting copper now decrements to 3d4. Okay. That's, that was one of the compensations for only having 1 or 2 hit points is you have an additional D4 of copper. Now we actually have cultist, not cultist initiative. I mean, man, if you got 3 or 4 hit points, you could actually be a genuine cultist. Cultist, pre-class magic user, weapon sickle, no armor, no shield, no helmet. You get wineskin, and yes, wineskin, like in Torchbearer, will be actually something that is physically useful, and actually have rules for, as opposed to just water. So wineskin, that's important. That like removing fear effects and stuff. So the idea that you're drinking wine actually has some kind of other effect other than water. We'll just put it that way. It's not just narrative. I want each one of these things to actually have a mechanical effect. That's part of the game aside. So everything has a mechanical effect in the game. No item 2 cantrips per day. I think we're just going to have to test this out, whether it should be 2 or 3 cantrips a day. We're just going to have to test it. I think play testing will come up to whether or not it should be 2 or 3 cantrips. Spell 1, poison spray. We'll give the cultist poison spray. Give them minor illusion and then the automatic read magic. Give them skill and hide. They get no second skill. D2 universal damage, starting copper 3d4. Antiquarian's assistant. Profession, antiquarian's assistant. Pre-class magic user, weapon staff, armor none, shield none, helmet none. Item 1, crowbar. Item 2, none. Cantrips per day 2, acid splash, and then their spells are acid splash, mending, and read magic. Like the combination, I ended up with 13 cantrips, like I said. So everybody has a unique combination. Everybody's got read magic, but as far as their other 2, they've all got unique combinations. So it matters what you roll. Search for skill 1, no skill 2, D2 universal physical damage, starting copper 3d4. Then you move into pre-thieves. Smuggler. Okay, so smuggler, pre-class thief. Go ahead and give this person a short sword. We're getting better now. No armor, no shield, no helmet. Grappling hook with short rope for item 1. No item 2. No cantrips or spells. Null those out. Give them sleight of hand and swim. Universal damage D2, starting copper 3d4. Then mountebank, which is pre-thief. Weapon dagger, no armor, no shield, no helmet. Bag of chalk. I'm really against bag of chalk. Really still against this. Because I just can't come up with a fantastic, and maybe somebody in the comments can, a fantastic mechanical kind of thing for bag of chalk to do. Yes, I know you're supposed to use the bag of chalk to mark things on the dungeon. I mean, maybe there is some way to come up with, but mark locations, the dungeons, that you don't get lost or something like that. But we need, I'm trying to come up with something mechanical for that, right? Let me just make that note. Must be mechanically significant. Yes, I know. I was just talking about the answer needs to be in your head rather than in your on your character sheet. But I would still rather like that if you have an item, I don't know what do you do with that? I don't know. Make something up. I don't know that it needs to actually have that if some of them have an actual mechanical effect, then all of them need to have mechanical effects. Oh, this person has the flask of wine. So if you drink the wine, you get to remove a fear effect, or you get a resistance to fear effects. Okay, that's actually a mechanical effect. Okay, I'm going to drink the wine. Bag of chalk. Oh, I don't know. Make something up. I don't know. I don't like that from the gameist perspective. That they all need to actually be mechanically significant. No, item 2, cantrips per day 0, so we null out the spells. Sleight of hand and hear noise for the mountebank. D2, universal damage 3d4. Profession bandit. Pre-class thief. Okay. You also, right. If you drink the flask of wine, right, yes. Maybe we should have drunken as a condition. Bandit gets club, and we got to look at the weapons, because obviously the weapon that you have does not influence your damage, because the damage is determined by class. But your weapon determines the type of damage that you do, and also your reach and other items. We got to work on that. Armor, none. Shield, none. Helmet, none. Animal snare. I think that's questionable. Unless that has something to do with hunting or something. I don't know. Item 2, null. But if it's dungeon crawling, does it matter? I mean, bushcraft. I mean, I want that to be there because that has to do with getting to the dungeon and getting home. Stray says, with bag of chalk, get a bonus for climbing, snuffing flames, or to escape when you pocket sand to pour sod in the eyes with it. Yeah, I mean, it could be. It certainly could be. And in a completely narrative environment, I mean, maybe you could do any of those things. In a more mechanical environment, like, it seems like it needs to have to do with like not getting lost in the dungeon. I feel like. Bandit gets hide and bushcraft. Universal damage D2, starting copper 3d4. Then we move on to pre-cleric. This is the first time so you're never going to be a 1 or 2 hit point pre-cleric. You're going to be a 3 or 4 hit point pre-cleric. So this is something that's new that's been introduced. I'm gonna have to get something else to drink in just a moment. We're gonna keep going for a little bit longer until I get through what I've got here. I have not completely finished this yet, but this has been very useful to talk through this. So then you hit pre-cleric, and this is porter. And this is porter, not as in somebody who carries a bunch of stuff, but porter as in the historical, medieval, minor order of cleric, of porter who watches the door at the church. That's what I was thinking. Porter, so profession, porter, pre-class, cleric, weapon, club, armor, none, shield, none, helmet, none. Item 1, 10-foot pole. Item 2, null. Now we go into cantrips again. So we do end up with cantrips because the clerics are half casters. So the pre-clerics also need to be half casters. So we're going to give them, should we give them cantrips per day 2, or should we give them 1? Oh, yes. Let me look that up. As half casters, should I don't know. That's an interesting question. As I'm talking through this, this is genuine game development here. Should they only have 1? Less than the dedicated casters? Kind of at the moment, I'm thinking so. Actually, at the moment, that might be an argument as to why to move the free magic users to 3 cantrips per day. Maybe that's what should happen. Exactly. exactly. Stray says chalk helped me when we had to get Hansel and Gretel out through the maze. Exactly, like chalk and things like that. I mean, that seems like the mechanical effect that something like chalk should have. Exactly. I hadn't thought about this before, but then maybe what we should do is just go ahead and give the pre-clerics 2 cantrips per day. It doesn't make sense to make the half casters and the arcane casters have the exact same number of cantrips. So maybe the arcane casters the pre-magic users should have 3 cantrips per day. Like I said, you're trying to get through 5 dungeon rooms. From a game perspective, you're trying to get through 5 dungeon rooms in order to qualify as a first level character. The clerics, by definition, a cleric is almost always going to have more HP. Well, no, I mean, what if you just, okay, that's not always true because, okay, these guys right here, these pre magic users have 2 cantrips per day, but these are the really weak guys. The 1 and 2 HP level 0. So maybe they should have 3. Maybe, so I'm make a note right here in my caps like I always do when we're on stream here so I can come and think about this later. Maybe the 1 and 2 HP pre-magic users need 3 cantrips. Actually, I think they do. I think so. When we get over here to the like the cartographer's assistant, which has 3 or 4 wounds, maybe then you do back them down to 2 cantrips per day. What are we doing in exchange here? In exchange to only having 2 cantrips, they go up to 3 or 4 wounds. I really think I'm gonna grab another drink here. I really think this is a really sophisticated system. This is No, wait, hold on. How about now? How about now? I might actually have been mute. Okay. Let's see. So I might actually have moved my microphone and been mute. I'm sorry about that. I'm terribly sorry about that. You can probably hear me now. I am going to grab a drink and we now continue. Okay. So let's see. So actually, I do like that. What I was saying is I do like this to say that, hey, the 3 and 4 wound magic users are more physically fit. So in compensation for being more physically fit, then you end up with less cantrips per day. I'm almost sure I want to do that. Because I was wondering, do you give the magic users 3 cantrips per day or 2 cantrips per day? I'm not sure. I don't know. Probably need to play test that. But now, actually looking at that, the half casters do not need to have the same number of cantrips per day that the casters do. They just don't. So let's go back up here. Let's try this out. Let's say, okay, so Alchemist Assistant, we're going to give them 3. Cult Initiate gets 3. Fortune Teller gets 3 cantrips per day. Wizard's Apprentice gets 3 per day. Hedge Mage gets 3 per day. Herbalist gets 3 per day. Okay, then we go into Pre-Thief. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask the question right here. Because I have buffed the 1 and 2 HP magic users, or pre-magic users. Do I need to buff these pre-thieves? I'm going to leave that as an open question as a moment, but as I'm running through here. So do like the 1 and 2 HP pre-thieves need to have 3 skills? Do they need 3 skills? So that's now what I'm asking myself. But that means that, okay, as we go here, I'm kind of thinking that they do. I'm going to put right here, kind of thinking that they do. It wouldn't bother me if this was the best system for 0th level adventuring out. 0th level adventuring out there. Kind of thinking they do. Kind of thinking that. So then when we go down here to Cartographer's Assistant, 3 or 4 wounds, and then we drop down to 2 cantrips per day. And then likewise with Smuggler, so I have to say then that would mean then we also drop to, what was I saying? Then the 3 and 4 HP pre-thieves drop to drop to 2 skills. It's going to be comparatively rare. It's going to be comparatively rare to have a 1 or 2 HP character. I need to run the stats on that. I don't have the stats on that at the moment. But I want to run the stats on that. So in a certain sense, and I like this, that rolling a 1 or 2 HP character means you are special. You've got stuff. You don't have the HP, but you got stuff. And I kind of like that way of doing this. Okay. I do like that. Probably going to change that up. Pre-thieves, we were just talking about Smuggler. We did that. We did Mountebank. Bandit. Animal Snare, we were just talking about that. Okay. Then we went to, okay, what we were talking about was pre-cleric. Okay. I really thought that. Okay, let me grab a drink. I want to continue here. Let me grab a drink. Just 1 second. No, everybody in there for Yeti. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeti isn't set for the wind down. Maybe it should be. Maybe we need to increase the amount of Yeti. But yes, Yeti hug break. Here we go.
Oh, it's time for a Yeti hug break. Yeti hug break. Yeti hug break. Everybody go hug yo Yeti and show yo Yeti some love.
Okay, there we go. Yeti hug break. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't bother me at all if this was the most sophisticated system for 0th level adventuring that there was. So that also solves that problem. That if we go that way, that something like the half-caster, the cleric, who has 2 cantrips per day, is not as magically powerful as our really low-level mages. So profession porter, pre-class cleric, weapon club. Yeah, I know we really need a whole Yeti song, and I was working on that at one point. If you know, 10-foot pole for porter, 2 per day, still universal damage D2. Okay, so I'm still now we're going to change that. We're going to change that slightly here. Universal damage D2, starting copper 3D4. Pilgrim. Okay, pre-class cleric. Weapon, staff, armor none, shield none, helmet none. We're going to start changing that too. The pilgrim gets the wineskin, which seems fitting. Item 2, null. Cantrips per day, 2. Oh, so what I did, okay. So I thought about, I didn't talk about my cleric cantrips. Let me see if I can find that. So... what did I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I only defined 7 clerical cantrips or divine cantrips. They are cure trifling wound, guidance, light, resistance, sacred flame, thaumaturgy, and virtue. Okay. I haven't written all of those out, but generally based on those from 5e, I guess. And then what I did to kind of mirror the arcane casters, if I need to do that, was I said that, okay, let's give every pre-cleric guidance. And guidance basically gives you an increase of D4 on your next skill check. So I said, okay, if you're a pre-cleric, then let's go ahead and give you guidance. I mean, should they only have 1? I mean, so they should not only have 1 since we've increased this. Since we've increased the pre-arcane casters. Should they only have 2 spells? Now that's what I'm asking myself about the pre-clerics. It seems like with old school RPGs in general, a function of, or an important part of the arcane casters is they have more spell selection than the half casters, which are the clerics. So maybe I should give them all 2. And now I'm kind of thinking that should be the case. That maybe they all get guidance, that one that gives somebody a bonus on a skill check, and then 1 spell. Have they been compensated enough in the melee category for that? That's what I ask myself. And so if so, should they go to D3 universal damage? Oh, I do love these streams. I'm glad I did this stream because when I'm talking through this to everybody on stream, I think about things that I didn't think of when I was just sitting here working on this by myself. So maybe, arguably, we could move the pre-clerics to D3 universal damage. And in exchange, they only have 2 cantrips, and then we're going to two cantrips per day, and then we reduce their spells known to only 2. That kind of solidifies their role as half-caster. I'm kind of thinking now that should happen. I mean, let me know what you think. Stray says, "I cast guidance on Bacon once. I came with a job and friends." Pilgrim pre-class cleric, weapon staff, armor none, shield none, helmet none, wineskin. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. I think we just talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that one already. We went up. Okay, Lector is the next pre-cleric because there are 3. There were 3 pre-magic users, and now there are 3 pre-clerics. Profession Lector, pre-class cleric, weapon club, armor none, shield none, helmet none. Item flint, steel, and tinder. Cantrips per day 2 at the moment. Cantrip of light, thaumaturgy. Guidance, and then skilled and hear noise, universal damage D2 at the moment. I think I might need to bump that, and then that would mean that I need to bump pre-fighter to D4. I'm liking that. Let's see. Okay, so then you go to pre-fight. So there were 3. So you can see we got 12 professions at each tier of hit points. So we had 3 pre-magic users, cartographer's assistant, cultist, antiquarian's assistant. Then we go to pre-thieves, and you have smuggler, mountebank, bandit, and then you go to pre-clerics, and you have porter, pilgrim, and lector. And then you go to pre-fighter, and you have town watchman, fighter, pre-class fighter, weapon spear, armor light, shield yes, helmet half. Like, I mean, this guy becomes a beast. Maybe that's actually too much stuff to add stuff in here. Maybe this is too much to add. $50 of hempen rope, no secondary item, no cantrips, and therefore no spells. Hear noise is his skill. Makes sense, as a watchman. Skill 2, null. Starting copper 3d4, universal damage D3. So if we move the half casters to D3, then he needs to move to D4. Needs to move to D4 if D4 if the cleric, pre-clerics, move to D3 along with all pre-fighters. Torchbearer, profession, torchbearer, pre-class fighter, weapon dagger, armor none, shield small, helmet none. Yeah, I know this guy got all kinds of stuff. Maybe he doesn't have armor. Maybe he just has a shield and a half helmet. I decided I originally I had helmet at, yes or no. But I decided maybe we go helmet at yes, helmet none, helmet half, helmet full. That seems reasonable for a town watchman to have a half helmet, like as in not full faced. That's where I was going with this. A shield and a spear, but not necessarily because you're just a watchman. We'll add town guardsman later. Torchbearer. Okay, so shield none, skill search, damage D3, unless we change that. Starting copper 3D4. Blacksmith's apprentice. Pre-class fighter, weapon hammer, armor light, no shield, no helmet, spikes and iron mallet with a climb skill. Okay, and we're still not done, but we're probably done for tonight because then we need to get into, okay, what are our, wait, what happened? Why can't I scroll? Oh, there we go. Okay. That takes us through our 3 and 4 hit point professions for 0th level characters. And the next thing to do is to go into 5 and 6 wound points. Because at this point, this is this is probably a good time to call the stream, because I got to work on this. Because at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to drop off all pre-magic users and pre-thieves. So at 5 and 6 wounds, there will be no pre-magic users and no pre-thieves. They're going to be clerics, and there will be fighters, and possibly paladins. I think it's a good idea to have, like, are you using paladin, ranger, and knight? If you are, then certain professions can lead into them. Otherwise, they can all collapse to fighter. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. So you can see I kind of started working on this with, okay, we're going to have, we have clerics, so we're going to have friar, sexton, and acolyte. And then woodsman, you can see how that would be fighter, pre-class fighter, or something, or ranger. Okay. The professions, this is just slowed progression of everything we're doing here down really slow. But I think it's really good. I do think that this is really good, especially after talking through all of this with you tonight. I think this is a pretty good system. The bassinet, you're right, like a bassinet, like not a visored bassinet, or just like, the Norman conical helmets with the nasal or something like that. That's what I'm kind of thinking with, when I say half, we can write that down someplace. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, like talking through this idea of game design here with the OSE. There's a lot I want to do, so that's where I am right now. I hope you enjoyed it. I am doing good. I'm doing good. I've been running all over, like I said, running all over the place, especially up to Huntsville, trying to apply for jobs and at the Space Center and UAH and everywhere else. But so I have not been around. But this was actually fantastic to sit here and talk through the game design with you guys. All right. Well, I guess I am out of here. You guys have a wonderful day. I'm going to go play Hero Quest on Sunday. Sunday afternoon, I'm playing Hero Quest. But it should be Sunday afternoon, and then that should allow me to stream Sunday night to get to something back to regular. So I'm playing with Hero Quest, planning to play Hero Quest with my family Sunday afternoon. Then we'll be here with you guys Sunday evening. That's the plan anyway. And I'm going to try to work on some more of this so we can power through these professions and then move on. Okay, wonderful. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Talk to you later. Go forth, be creative, and be constructive. Later, everybody.